Welcome to Closer to Venus. I'm Johnny Burke, and today's guest is Gina Cavalier. She is a mental health advocate, author, filmmaker, and spiritual teacher. She's also the founder of the Liberated Healer, a large wellness brand that focuses on homeopathic healing and helping those dealing with suicidal thoughts. In this episode, we'll discuss what tools she uses as a teacher, including energy healing, channeling, working with angels, and more. Gina, welcome to the program.
Hello, thank you so much. Warm welcome to everybody who might be listening.
All right. So your work has a very prominent metaphysical thumbprint. How did you find yourself on this path?
Well, I have a book that just came out, Surviving Suicidal Ideation. I had struggled on and off with suicidal thoughts anytime a chaotic life event would come. It came in through childhood wounding and abuse from childhood. I just was suffering deeply, and I felt disconnected from myself, my life path. I didn't feel like I belonged here. I always felt that I loved healing or loved working on people. I always felt kind of a draw. I saw ghosts when I was a kid, all these kind of things. I kind of felt like I was in that realm. I was an empath, but I just, pushed it down. I lived a rock and roll lifestyle, living in LA, working with studios, actually was married to a rock star, and just didn't feel like I could even be in the realm of metaphysical or spiritual, that it would be looked down upon. So I kind of pushed it aside, but I was suffering. And when I went through the divorce, I said I need to either commit to leaving this planet or I need to commit to healing myself. And I just went on a journey, and everything started opening up for me, and I started having experiences and connecting to them and wanting more of them. They were so beautiful, or some of them were hard, but they were real and they spoke to me. And each little thing just took me to the next beautiful tool or experience. And you just fall in, and then you just say, oh, okay, this is spirit, and I have a unique way that I communicate with it. And I need to find how I can perfect that and let that fold into my life, so I live the life I prefer. And it just was expansive.
Yeah, you had mentioned that you saw ghosts as a kid. How old were you when that started?
Very, very young. I did have an abusive childhood, so it was very traumatic. I would have these crazy, almost like live dreams or night terrors. It was usually at nighttime, and I would see things walking around in my room and things like that. When you're young and you ask adults, what do I do about this? At the time, this was in the 70s, they basically just told me that, well, you're either crazy or possessed. Figure it out, So it was terrifying, because the movies that I watched put fear into me that there was a great evil. I didn't want to play with evil. I didn't want to play in the darkness, but actually learning about light and dark and how they kind of dance with each other and they work together, how to work with it without fear, was such a great relief for me, because then I can move forward into deeper healing and spirituality, not being afraid of the dark.
So when you started to learn about light and dark, which we hear a lot about when people talk about duality, I noticed you were involved with the Berkeley Psychic Institute. Was that the first step on the path, or did that come later?
It wasn't first step. I actually first led into religion. I studied Hinduism, which I loved a lot. There was aspects of it that I didn't believe in. But that's where I had sort of my first meditational experiences, doing Kundalini exercises, going completely out of my body, feeling like I was singing and dancing with the stars and feeling very light in my body. I studied Kabbalism. I love the mysticism behind some of that, and Christianity and different things. But actually learning about energy was definitely a crossroads that changed my life, because everything is energy, at least for me, and you have to learn how you receive information. So we all come in with themes, and we all comes in with gifts in our soul contract. Finding out what those themes are and how they relate to you. You might see another, say a channeler, and say, oh wow, I wish I could channel an angel or something else exactly word for word, or see people that do that. And you want that, but that's really not a part of your gift. So finding out what your gifts are, it makes it easier, because you can just plug them in. Learning about energy, this is almost like a college. You don't go on the weekend, just a class here and there. You literally have to take Med 1, Med 2, Healing 1, Healing 2, and you have to do free readings every week to even graduate. So it's almost like a college for energy work. And I love that, because I like to intellectualize what's happening to me, why certain energies affect me. So it is sort of spirituality, even for people who might be even on the atheist side, like they can understand energy. And so I think energy opens up the palette a lot more. I work with colors, how colors affect you, how they can bring in seniority or healing, how to do readings on people, how to look at past lives. And it was phenomenal.
You're right. Energy, well, everything is energy. At least that's what I'm told. So the energy healing, was that the first modality that you learned that did open up things for you, or was it something else?
No, yes, it was energy healing. And we learned how to bring in guides, how to plug them into our hand chakras, how to feel energy, how to understand where the blockages were in the chakras, stepping in one energy and then stepping out of one energy. So you can understand, yeah, this is a real thing. Using a gauge from 0 to 100 to identify how much invalidation is in my space. How much am I stuck in this old relationship? How much of other people's energy is in my body? It puts you in the driver's seat of everything that's a part of your body and energy.
Did the energy healing lead into channeling, or did that start for you about the same time?
I started channeling artwork first. So because of my abuse as a child, I used to do little doodles, and I would do them in business meetings, and it would just be a way for me to express anger or frustration or resentment or whatever I was going through. People would just say, that's art. And I would say, no, they're just doodles. But they're like, no, they're all art. And people really started to like them. So I just started to think of a person and start to draw something out. And I would start doing healing artwork for people. And it was their guides or angels that would come through. There's little messages in all the art. So at first I did it with physical pen and ink, which was my way. And that's why I said everybody has a different way. That's how I connected with the guides first. Then that led more into when I got more advanced, when I learned about my theme, which is being a cipher. And I didn't even know what a cipher was. I have a list of themes that I'm going to be putting in my book too, so you can find your own. But themes are like hands-on healing, shamanism, different things that you have access to that are really good that you use to your modality. So I realized I was a cipher, which is I am supposed to just listen to spirit and put the messages on pages for people to read.
So spirit guides and angels, this comes up a lot, obviously, in these types of discussions. Which ones came first? What were they like? Tell us about it. Did you get visuals or was it auditory? What was that like?
I process everything physically and in my knowing and sometimes visuals. I just talk a little bit. So one of my first big spirit guides was Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek. I worked for his wife in their house in Bel Air. I was her assistant. She had this giant home and it was all like gray and muted colors and kind of cold. And there was this little office that was Gene's that was all wood, cherry wood with a big leather chair I could barely even fit in and touch the ground. And it was funny because it was my favorite place in the house. And so I was really excited that she gave me his old office to work in. I was in my 20s, so I was very young. I really wanted to be a writer, but I didn't have any confidence in my education that I could ever do that because I had to leave home at a very young age, so I didn't get to finish my schooling. So I felt that I was never going to be able to accomplish something like that. And he started speaking to me in the room and showing me different things. And he would kind of say, you see that little thing I wrote over there, that's what this means. And that's what I was inspired to do about this. And he goes, I want you to try to write. And I would go home so excited and just stay up writing all night long. I would commune with him and talk with him, and he encouraged me to write. It was the first time he was like, no, write, it's beautiful, and you could dream and be magical, and you can find editors and things like that. And I was like, okay. So he was my first. I always try and channel a little bit of angels, but I seem to channel real world people a lot. People that were alive and that I have a history with. I had past lives with all these people. I had past lives with Gene Roddenberry. And then the most recent one was Emanuel Swedenborg, of course.
Right, I remember you told me about that.
Yeah, so the Swedenborg Foundation, they published my recent book. So this is from the Swedenborg Foundation, Surviving Suicidal Ideation. And there's channeled messages in there from Emanuel Swedenborg. We put out the proposal to see what publishers were interested in this book. We've got several offers, and we I just decided to go with the Swedenborg Foundation because I remembered a connection to one of his books that I felt kind of saved my life when I was in a really bad position. And I was in a bookstore and thinking about suicide. I really was wanting to check out. I didn't feel connected here anymore. I felt completely disconnected and I didn't belong here. I was in a coffee shop, and in the old books section was this book, The Conversations with Angels. And it sort of started to shimmer and almost draw me in. It almost like looked like it was alive, but it was really just a flat image. But that's how spirit kind of communicates with me. It says, pick me up, go down this path. So I picked up that book, and the shop owner was like, you can have it. And I felt like it spoke to me, and it was angels. And to hear that a brilliant man who had a 210 IQ, who would represent queens and kings and came from this amazing family, then wrote a book about how he spoke to angels and that was possible. So that really was another sign to me that, like, yeah, this world is real and alive and you can communicate with it. And then I really started to feel and see the angels around me, and that I could call upon them anytime. I believe that all of us can call upon any guides or energies or people, presence and past, if we want to, but it does take practice and also understanding energy, so you don't get caught in the wind of anxiety or a growth period or anything like that.
Or beings from the lower realms, which I guess we'll get to in a minute. It sounds like you had a predisposition to this type of thing from an early age. And you mentioned past lives. You recognize that you have some people in this life that you had experiences with in the past. How did you discover that? Was it regression or was it a spontaneous knowing?
When I meet people now, if I have a past life with them, I'll get a flash of an image, if it was a meaningful past life, and I will know, okay, there's a past life there that I need to or want to look at. I'll go into my healing state, and just a meditative state that I show on my website, the Liberated Healer, is like a calm, grounding meditation. And I'll go into that meditative state, and then I have practices and tools where I will just say, okay, who is this and what happened? And I bring up the image. And my most recent partner, who I was with for 3 years, he was in the image, and he was much younger than me, which he was in real life. I could see the whole room in London. I could see the bookshelves. I could see what I was wearing. And we were having an affair, or love affair, and that was all that I really was shown. Now we've been broken up. Recently I met a gentleman, and all of a sudden, boom, I see that same image. But it was like, why is he in this with my past boyfriend, the same image? This is weird. So I immediately had to go into meditation and figure it out. And it was really devastating what happened. I see the triangle of love that we had. And it was the one boyfriend actually killed the then husband. And I killed myself because I was having an affair. And I felt so guilty about it. And I wanted to try to catch my husband's soul because he had just been murdered. And I got stuck into a somewhat of a purgatory because of the suicide and the shame that I had about cheating on my spouse.
And you remember this, like in the in-between state, right?
Yes, absolutely. And this is what I kind of revealed in my healing session. I was on like a desert island, and I couldn't eat or drink, but I couldn't die. So it just basically was a bag of bones with my head held down looking at the sand. And that's all I did, like just stuck there probably for 150 years. When I met this fella, all of a sudden I heard steps on the sand, and he walked up to me live, just like he looks like today, held my chin up and poured coconut water into my throat. And while he did that, it completely healed me, and it brought me out of the purgatory, and it healed that triangle of karma that I had to deal with. And we all got released the energy back from that life and that pain. And I was no longer in purgatory. And so I just felt really excited to release that, because a lot of people that are suicidal have had patterns in their past life that they've been suicidal in the past, and it's something that they need to heal in this life. And when you really learn that, then you're like, oh, I'm never going through that again. I'm going to actually heal that 100%. And that leads into my book 2, which is the guide that came in to help me write book 2. She's an earth angel. They also showed me that I am also an earth angel and have been many, many times. And earth angels, just like starseeds, they have an extremely hard time being on this planet. This is actually a quote from her channel. We will give not just the shirt off our back, but we will give the hair off our head. We will give the skin off our back. And that's exactly what I felt like my life was. Whatever anybody needed, I wanted to just to pull it off and give it to them. I was just too much of a giving person, and it just was killing me. It was absolutely not the way to live on this planet. There's roles that I have, there's boundaries, there's seniority, there's lessons that I need to do. I need to take care of myself and my own temple. And a lot of earth angels can't do that. And they are the ones that are gravely suicidal when they're here. And they also have committed suicide in their past lives. And they need to heal that energy. They can easily go into that suicidal mode and thought because it really is a part of their soul pattern. So you need to kind of go in and really recognize it and heal it.
So you have a really interesting perspective on suicide because you've had past lives where you remember committing suicide and you remember being in the between space because you mentioned soul contracts. So that seems to be a lot more accurate than the opinion of the church, which basically says committing suicide is a sin. You agree?
Well, we're all love. There is no sin, really. There is karma because there has to be balance in learning and lessons and balance and stuff like that. But there's no energy that is not love. Everything goes back to love, especially something that hard. It is actually full of love and compassion for people that have to go through with that. Unfortunately, you will have to kind of heal that to get rid of that. It'll show up again in the next life in a way, like it showed up in mine. We're only made of love.
That's definitely good to know. Let's talk about the past life readings, which you do offer. And first of all, what prompted you to start doing that? And is the channeling or the energy healing components in that practice?
It's actually what I learned in the energy healings. First, you really have to get into your state where you're grounded. You have to protect your energy. And then we go in and we usually read 2 past lives and we ask, what is a past life that, looking at it today, we can pull out some information from that past life that's going to help them today. Kind of almost giving them a little bit of a remembrance of what some of those lessons or themes were so they can take a look at that. I can visually see those past lives. Say if they were on an island with a boat and in charge of a tribe and either there was a betrayal or something that they had to be strong about, or there's a lesson in what they need to bring into this life right now. People feel very grateful to connect to a past that they can see what needs to be healed and we can work on it together, because what happens when you pull that life up, it actually comes up and out of your being and it's ready to be worked on. So if you have something old and that's not ready to be worked on, it's not going to come up. But once it's up, you have to work on it. Otherwise, it might get stuck in your space. So when we pull up the reading, we actually work on the energy of that as well. We don't just pull it up and it's not a story that we talk about. What will happen is if that person goes home after that without us working on it, they might get stuck energetically because that past life is in their space and they haven't cleared the energy. So we actually clear the energy and do almost like a past life healing on it so they can walk away with brand new energy and have cleared that past life if there's anything else they need to clear from it.
What are some of the biggest takeaways? You've gone through the cycle, obviously more than once. What does that tell you about our purpose, why we're here, and what really comes next?
Our purpose is to expand our lessons, to go back home to the light and find that path and understand each emotion completely. So we need to experience anger and loneliness and frustration and resentment so we can heal it. It's just the purpose of learning tools and learning how to work together, releasing judgments and criticisms on other humans and letting them have their journey and supporting their journey and recognizing every single soul that comes into our space as an opportunity for healing. When I first learned that, when you first meet someone, say at a new job or something, and you are triggered by one person greatly, I just cannot stand that person. Right away, you guys are charged and you're at it. Actually, those are the people that you need to do energy work with. And they might not be aware and they might not even want to do the work, but that doesn't mean that you can't do some of the work as well. So sit with them, be kinder with them, try to get into their space, try to look at them and figure out what that charge is. You might have been a sister in that past life. You might have stolen their boyfriend or done something to them or whatever. And I'm talking from experience because I had an old boss actually at a studio at Warner Brothers. And I remember saying, oh gosh, I got to work on this. This is going to be crazy ride. And it really was.
I interviewed a medium a while back. This was kind of early on in the podcast. And everything was going great. You know, lots of really cool stories. And then she kind of threw a curveball because I wasn't really prepared for it. She started talking about a time when things weren't going well and she was basically planning to check out. I didn't really know what to say. And what happened with her is that she walked towards the drawer in the kitchen where this implement was, probably a knife, and thought she heard something in her head, voice in her head saying, sit down. And she ignored it. She looked around. Obviously, there's no one in the house. Took a few more steps, and in a big booming voice, she heard someone or something say, sit down. And I'm paraphrasing here, but she essentially had a conversation with spirit that told her, you have free will. No one's going to stop you. But if you go through with this, we're going to bring you right back to the same place, and you're going to have to do this all over again. No. So I think for people that follow your work, that's definitely a good thing to know that, because if you go through with it, chances are you didn't really resolve anything. Am I right?
I think you always have a choice to come back, actually. You always can say no. The guide that works with me on book 2 and the Earth Angels, her name is Sue Ellen, and she says that you can use a Southern twang, which I thought was really funny. I actually did a drawing of her about 3 or 4 years ago. I didn't know who she was. She's like, that's me. I knew I was going to be coming in. And she has like this 1800s outfit with birds in her hair and everything like that. But what she's told me is that you always have a choice to come back, if or not. I'm calling my book Planet Walking, a handbook for the living, because she gave me that title because she's like, I love planet walking. I love planet walking. It is, oh my gosh, the earth is so beautiful. Like all these species, just, oh my gosh. But I'm too sensitive. She's killed herself so many times when she's been incarnated because she's too sensitive. So right now, she's just observing me and working with other energy work so she can try to incorporate into her soul and make herself stronger. So when she does come back, she knows the lessons in her soul. She might never come back if she decides that she wants to.
You have a choice. I've heard that too. And I'm thinking, well, if I had the choice, why would I come back? I'd rather stay there and get to see Prince and John Lennon and Kurt Cobain. I'd even play bass for them if they want, rather than come back here, hang out with supermodels or anything else I want to manifest. But I've also been told the reason people come back is this is the best place to work off karma because it's so dense.
Absolutely. It's a gift to come back. Only the strongest souls can actually be here. So when you learn that I'm here. This is a miracle that I'm here. Only the strongest people come here. Every single one of us, every single person that you see is here on a journey. They're living out whatever storyline they're progressing in. And it's a miracle that we're here. We have the most species than any other planet. There's so many things to enjoy. There's just lots of beautiful things in this world. And so it's getting out of our mind and the patterns in our mind, going back into our heart, learning the tools to be grounded and to connect with spirit and to follow that path. It will start to illuminate for you your life's purpose. I just wrote another article and I love the last line in it because I didn't really know what my life's purpose was. And I think people get lost because we all want to leave with a mark on something, that our time here had some kind of value. And when you feel, especially as you're aging, you're like, gosh, I did nothing with my life. That's not true. But right now, there might be something left for you to do. You still have an opportunity today to figure out what that is. And the best way is to work on your energy, and that life path will illuminate. You will start to hear and feel, or however you best receive information, signs that will bring you to what you were meant to do. I realized that my life purpose was hidden in my pain. I needed to heal my pain. I needed to heal my wounds And through that healing was my life purpose. I didn't know that. I was a media executive.
In LA, right?
Yeah, but I didn't know that I was going to be doing these things. I thought I was going to work on movies and stuff my whole life or whatever.
Speaking of movies, with your experience with the metaphysical, or what we call the unseen world, do you ever get the idea that some of the creators, whether it's the producer or the director or maybe even the screenwriter, maybe unconsciously have knowledge of some of the same things and it finds its way into the stories?
Absolutely. Star Wars was 100% channeled. It's
Really?
channeled all the time. A lot of the DC characters are channeled. Those are all archetypes that are in the Akashic records. When you start to look at the content that's coming out, they're being driven to give us hints of information so we're prepared for when it happens. So right now, we're starting to see a lot of contact and aliens and earth-destructing movies, and it's actually getting us ready for that stuff to happen because Earth is going through a transformation, we all know, and we just got to follow the Earth. She's going to explode a little bit here, change a little bit here. There's a lot of clues in the content that's coming out. We will have contact from aliens probably after 2030. When it comes, it will be a definite thing that can't be missed by anybody on the planet, but it's preparing us for that so we're not scared. Absolutely. The movies are channeled. I wrote a whole book that's coming out with 900 pages with a co-author, sort of like a Harry Potter story. I wrote a whole 5-book series that I'm developing right now that I'm going to try to talk to studios. But it's been wholly channeled about these kids that work in the ocean to become agents of energy to help planet. This new property that I'm developing is all channeled information, different characters and happenings and things like that.
So you mentioned the aliens. I had a medium once tell me that they don't like being called aliens because alien means apart, and they don't feel like they're apart from us. But what kind of insight do you have about the starseeds and the light workers? It seems like that's kind of ramping up, so I'm hearing it more and more. How is that related to the star beings, or is that a silly question?
No, and there is no silly questions. That's also the best part.
Well, to me it might be because I just said starseeds, and we're all supposed to be starseeds anyway in one way or the other, but in all seriousness, I've had a lot of intuitive, empathic types tell me that starseeds are here on a mission. There's more light workers coming up or getting ready for ascension and moving into a 5D type civilization. What kind of insights do you have about that through channeling or any other method?
Well, 5D isn't a location, it's a state of being. When you're sitting in fear, when you're judging people, when you're online complaining about other people and looking at the content with wars and yelling at other people and not contributing in a healthy way, you're really in the 3D. That's dense. You're bringing on more karmic lessons. 5D, if you are encompassing as much high love energy and joy energy and happiness and creativity and just elevating that way, you will draw in more people at that level. But it really is just a state of consciousness. And that's the best way to look at it. When people start to see it separately, their mind breaks. It's way too complex. We don't have the words to explain what's really happening. So it confuses people even more. So what I'm told is, don't even worry about ascension. That word is something that we should not even be engaging with that much because it's not helping people. What people just need to know is what state are you going to be in? The 3D, the dense, the negative, the fearful, or in the love? And that's where 5D is. So just raise your love frequency as much as possible in all the different forms. As much as possible. We got lessons to still learn, and we still need to process anger and all that other stuff, but get back to love as much as you can. The more you vibrate in the 5D, the more you're going to just be able to manifest. And you're going to release the power of money over you. You're going to release the power of other people over you that can shame and judge you. That's what really helps suicidal ideation, because if you can learn how to release shame and fear, you will break that stigma of why you're feeling this way. And you can go on your healing journey without shame. Shame is what is making people not tell other people they're suffering. And they might have a mental health issue where there actually is a synapse not working. They're afraid to tell anybody. 45% of people commit suicide a month before they saw their primary care physician. So they are not talking. That's why I'm out here saying, hey, we've got tools now. I talk about it. I want to show you hope that you can actually get this out of you forever and let it never return to you. There is hope, because I felt that that was my life prescription, that I was going to have to live the rest of my life with that. Like my eye color or my hair color or my height, like it was never going to change. I'm just on again, off again, suicidal my whole life. That is not a way to live.
No, it isn't.
And that's why I come out here and say, no, you can actually get rid of it. I've gotten rid of it. I was in the middle of a huge breakup with that other fellow I was talking about. In the middle of writing this book, I was actively using the book as I was writing it. I want people to know that. You can actually get rid of that loop in your mind of not wanting to be here. It's a sad state, and I feel deeply for anybody who is in it, and I want to help pull them out.
In order to help those people, how can our listeners find you online?
I'm at theliberatedhealer.com, and that's all the Instagram and everywhere else. You can find me in ginacavalier.com.
Excellent. Gina, thanks for coming on to the show tonight. Really, really cool stuff.
Yeah.
We will put those links in the show notes and the transcript as well. You've been listening to Closer to Venus. I'm Johnny Burke. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing. For more info, go to closertovenus.com. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.